Morning. How's it going?
We talked to Dan after the game, and he said, or I think it was Monday actually, sorry. One of the things that he loved was the coverage aspect of the special teams, but he's looking maybe for a little bit more of a spark from the return game, maybe a couple more chunk plays. Just how do you go about maybe trying to manufacture some of those?
Yeah, I think a lot of the return game is just you just keep swinging the bat and keep going after it. I think some things that have gone on in the return game. Number one, I would always start with, could I do a better job? Sure, I will say that. We can try to help Leaf get started a little bit better. We could help our kickoff return schematically a little bit better. I would certainly say that. And then, but number two, I think some of it is just keep swinging the bat. Punt return, I think some of these guys, Leaf had obviously a touchdown return. Anytime that happens, then your opponent starts saying, okay, how can we eliminate this guy? And I think in that game, you saw these end-over-end punts that were short and wide where they really didn't have a good net on the day. I think with the penalty, it might have been like 38 yards on the punt, for them. So if they're punting the ball short, 40 yards down the field, you're probably not going to have a lot of return chances. One of the punts, it looked like we were going to have actually a good opportunity. Their guy missed it and went off to the left side of the field, which they weren't really trying to do, but it ended up working out for them. So there's some of that. Like everything's just got to kind of come together on some of those plays. Kickoff return, man, we just got to keep swinging. It's a tough play. I think the hardest part about the kickoff return play is it's tough on both sides. Like you talk to special teams coaches and they're like, man, I feel like it's so hard to cover, but I also feel like it's so hard to return the ball. So we'll just keep swinging. I mean, we've had some good returns. I think our drive start's not terrible when you look around the league on either side of that play. I think you always want more. I think another thing that happens for us is Leaf's so competitive returning the ball. He catches the ball on the punt return, and he gets 1 yard. And everyone's like, oh, man, it's like a failure. I think they would rather see a fair catch, and they feel better about it. But it's like because he returned it and got 1 yard, it was like this negative play. Like that was a yard better than fair catching it. Or he got 5 yards on the one, that's 5 yards better than fair catching. And we definitely have an approach of like we're fighting for every blade of grass. And so if we get 5 yards, that's better than taking a fair catch. A lot of teams, fair catch, fair catch, fair catch. Oh, it's wide open. Let me return the ball. Well, yeah, they got a better return average than we do, but they don't necessarily have better field position at the end of the game. And so we play the big picture, not really the individual thing also. So there's probably a lot that goes into it, but yeah, certainly I could do better and help these guys in a better spot. I think with kickoff return play, certainly.
The fake punt, your players and Dan said you got the look you wanted, and I know you're not going to reveal too much schematically on that front, but I'm just curious when you've got Jomo and Carter in there, two really great. Say it again.
Two big guys.
And I mean, not only that, like great penetrating interior defensive linemen, and you've got a bunch of linebackers, being asked to block them on a run up the middle. Like, I guess I'm struggling to understand how that makes sense to run.
I think I totally get what you're saying. It doesn't sound good, but sometimes what doesn't sound good actually ends up being good. And I think if you look around the league through the years, you'll see a handful of times where the defense has been on the field, and what happens, those guys, they don't think that the ball is going to get run on them because they're out there. And every time they're out there, they just punt the ball. And then all of a sudden you get up underneath their pads and you roll them back for a yard. And it happens so quick on a guy that it ends up working out. And so I would just say that there's a number of examples of that happening through the years in this league where a guy gets caught off guard. And the gist of the play was more along those lines, not understanding that, these guys are big players. I mean, and good players. But, I think if you just say go along with the fact that we're never going to take a risk or take a chance, well, then you would never ever fake it or do any of that. And anyway, the bottom line, I would say the same thing on that play. I could do better. I mean, our blocking technique could have been better. Our pad level, I could have coached those guys better. We could have fit them up better on the block. Certainly on the right-hand side, the left side, the guy kind of went low on us. Would have been tough. But,
Just to follow up on that, Grant seemed to say like he wasn't specific about that, but maybe they had played it different in those situations then.
Yeah, I feel like they were definitely alert that, we're an aggressive team probably, and so they played maybe a little bit different or a little bit more aggressive, but not a ton. But yeah, maybe a little, which is fair. At the end of the day, for us, we could have executed better.
You had a roster of special teams guys that on paper maybe looked like the best you were going to have with, the addition of Daniel Thomas and Grant Stewart to the group you already had. When you've had kind of the injuries that you've had through your unit, losing a lot of those top guys, I know standard, you don't want to make excuses, but how difficult is it as a coach to kind of replace really, really good players maybe with younger, inexperienced ones?
No, I mean, obviously, the more great players you have, the easier it's going to be. That is a no-brainer statement. But I feel like we have really good players still, and I feel like the truth is, I feel like in a lot of ways those guys have done a lot of very good things. There's some things that haven't been good enough. There's a lot of areas I could do better. But overall, the results, I don't know, 6th best in net punt, something like that. We're top 10-ish on kickoff return, drive start, something like that. So I don't think the performance has been like awful. But we also haven't made as many plays or explosive plays. And so sometimes people think, how come you're not doing that every week? And that's just not reality, I guess, a little bit. But so I think it would be unfair to say that those guys have played poorly. But do we have a high standard and expect to play better? For sure. Certainly myself, like I told you guys a week ago, I mean, I hate it anytime the ball gets past the 30 on kickoff. But it's going to be hard to do that. And if you live that way, you're gonna ride the wave of ups and downs, and you got to be somewhat realistic. And then I think as to your question with like the changing of the players and new players, I mean, I think I said this a year ago, but that's really the reality of the NFL now. I mean, injuries happen all the time for every team. It always feels like they happen to you more than anyone else. And I think probably as a fan, as a coach, for all of us, oh man, we have so many, no one else. But you look around, everyone's dealing with the exact same thing. So I would say it's really life in the National Football League nowadays. There's guys up, down. You have to adjust the roster. And I think if you're any good as a coach, you embrace that and feel like, hey, that's the challenge. And part of the challenge of the thing is trying to find a way to get guys in different positions. I tell you guys, every training camp, that my goal in training camp is to learn as much about every player as I can, so that when they have to play, we can hopefully put them in the best position possible with their skill set. So anyway, I think you just got to embrace it. It's part of the league, and the more you embrace it, the better off you're going to be.
You guys have a pretty good relationship, it seems like, with guys up and down the roster. I'm curious, when something like the penalty post-touchdown happens, is that something that you go up to JMO and you be like, look, you're putting our guys in tough spot? You leave that up to Dan, or how do you approach maybe something like that?
Yeah, I think Dan would probably be the best guy for that. And the truth is, I saw him coming off the field, and I saw Dan talk to him, so so I knew I didn't have to say anything. But I mean, to me, it really doesn't. If you're a specialist or in my job, I mean, it doesn't matter. They say field goal, then we go out there and kick a field goal. The ball's on the 30, it's on the 30, it's a 48-yarder, and if it's on the 15, it's a 33-yarder. You know what I mean? And it really doesn't matter. So I don't get too caught up in I can't believe that happened to us. I mean, our job is to go out there and make the kick. If we go out there and make the kick, then we're not even worried about it. And so, I don't blink. We didn't execute on the kick, and that was unfortunate. I did think that kick at the end of the game was a big one. 54-yarder going that direction, that stadium late in the game. With Bates, too, it's a credit to him because he had been going through some ups and downs. It's well documented. And that one was with everything on the line right there, a chance to keep playing the game. The game would have been over if we missed that. So he gives us a chance to keep playing. It's from 54 yards against a good field goal block unit where he can't hit a low ball, and he crushed it. So that was good.
Justice, his foot positioning, make sure he's kicking it higher. Did you guys do anything?
Say that again.
You do anything to tweak like the where he's kicking the ball to make sure he avoids those?
No, just working on his technique, his ball contact, where he's striking it. Maybe, nothing crazy, but little things, sure. making sure he gets underneath the ball a little bit more.
Was there a difference in technique between the missed 50 from PAT from 50 and the made field goal from 54? Is that just the wind playing a part? And is there an art to kicking through conditions like that?
Yeah, it's like this whole conversation is, the best thing you can do kicking in conditions like that is drive the ball, which then you're talking about a little bit lower trajectory. So for us in that game, that's not the best thing that we could do, especially on this week. But yeah, I mean, the best thing you can do in wind is if you got a kicker who's a real powerful leg and you can get him to drive the ball just a little bit, still get enough on it that it goes over the line, but also low enough where it's going to cut through most of those conditions up to a certain yardage, and then you really don't have to adjust the kick left or right if you can do that. But for us, in that game, obviously we want to get under the ball more, and so now the wind affects it more. So all those things add up. But I would say on the miss, it just was not a classic miss, but he just missed the ball a little bit. It just inside out on it or off his toe, however you want to say it, and then it shoots off to the right just a little bit there.
How's it going? Good. So we'll start with recapping real briefly the Philly game, because we got another very important NFC game this week that I would like to move on to. But obviously we didn't come away with the victory. But just the same as I stood in front of the unit on Monday morning, I told him it was hard to get up there and kind of find something. We talk about the good, which was a lot. These guys did a lot of good things, and kind of things I wanted to highlight to them were the point of emphasis on improvement that we wanted to see as a staff and collectively as a unit. And those things, they almost checked every box. You talk about the red zone. That's something that drastically needed to improve from the previous month, you could say, and that's something that they went out and did very well, I thought. But the most probably proud moment within that game was the sudden change situations, the never blink mentality, the run to the fire and put the fire out mentality. Those guys never wavered at any point in that game, no matter what the situation lied ahead. Was it 3rd and 1, 4th and 1? Were we on the plus side of the field, minus side? Those guys didn't care. They went out and they stood tall to those tasks. So I definitely want to commend those guys. So if anything, I told them, man, I'm trying to be honest with them, and I'm like, I was trying to find something, and then I found it. It was the takeaway category. That's something, the way that game was structured on that night, our offense needed one more possession, and that's kind of was the nature of that game. So that was the one thing, if I could kind of look to anything that we could have improved upon, it would have been still in the possession for our offense.
How do you get more of those, takeaways? I mean, they were there early in the season, obviously, and maybe some of the bunches, you still got a couple, but some of the bunches at least have dried up the last few weeks.
Yeah. The guys are attacking it, but that's something we do a takeaway tape every Saturday with the unit, and you see at the beginning of the year, it's 50 clips on there, 60 clips on there. And then you start to get to this point in the season, you're around the 30s and 40s. And this is totality throughout the league. So I think it's just more awareness from the offensive standpoint on ball security. I think it's heightened. I think guys learn from their mistakes throughout the league. But at the same time, that's not making an excuse. We have to find ways to generate those, not guys going outside of the scheme, but within the scheme and within the framework, finding ways to kind of more attempts on the ball in there, it got to be ours mentality.
Saw the way the defense played that game, but in the locker room after, a lot of the comments were we should have done more. Guys like Amik, DJ were upset that they weren't able to do more. How much do you appreciate kind of that attitude of delivering on expectation but not feeling like they did enough individually?
Yeah, it's the reason I tell you guys, I've stood up here throughout the course of this entire offseason and told you guys that's why it's such a joy to coach this group. That's why it's an honor to be the coordinator here, because I get to work with guys like that where they're never satisfied. It's never enough. It's the same way I feel as the play caller. I could have done more for Dan in the offense, for Johnny Moe and those guys over there. We could have stole one more possession. That's where I found the one bad within the game, you could say, within the takeaway, because once you step away from a win, loss, freaking excellent performance, bad performance, you always try to pull away things that you could improve upon and then things that you did well. And within that, you find things. And it's really a joy and honor to work with a group of players that can go out and hold a team of that caliber to what we did and those guys still feel like we left meat on the bone. So we're attacking this week, and we know we'll try not to leave those opportunities out there moving forward.
I wanted to ask about some of the defensive line. Max starting on the outside, Tyleek second most snaps of the season after a couple diminished games there. Just what went into the rotation there, and what'd you like out of it?
First of all, I loved it. I think Mac is an ultra athlete. He's not just a defensive tackle. When you're dealing with a player of his caliber, and it kind of trickles to a player of Tyleek's caliber, of Reeder's caliber, of Roy's caliber. All right, well, how you gonna get these guys on the field? And it's our jobs as coaches to find those ways, and nothing getting crazy, going outside of the realm of what we do as a unit and our principles, but finding ways to kind of put these guys in those spots where you see fit. And I kind of went to Mac probably a month ago and kind of tinkered with the idea of it, and his face lit up. And I told him yesterday, don't get too comfortable out there. You're still a defensive tackle. But, you know, these guys, and that's what I love, again, man, having the pleasure to work with this group of men. You ask them to do anything. I asked Aiden to go play Sam OLB, and I need you to drop curl flat. No problem, coach. And these guys don't blink. And that's why it's my job as the coordinator. It is my job to make sure these guys are in the proper positions where they can help us as a defense and as a team.
Name for that package, that 4 defensive tackle package? Is there a name for it? The NASCAR package with the defensive end?
Yeah, it's a name. I'm not going to say it, but yeah, it is. We have names for all groupings. Once you start to get into this flow of the season, you start to add guys back in that weren't in. Well, what are we going to call that? Because the guy like Ruben might say, that's my package. So he's not taking my. So then we kind of mess around, make names for different groupings, made name in somebody's college, things like that. But man, these guys, it's really a joy to coach this group. A bunch of selfless guys who don't care who's making the play. They just want the play made.
Actually, I had another one too. You've stood there and you've said, look, if you come in and you show that you can make plays, you're going to get opportunities to play. You've been very clear about that. Now that you start to get guys healthy, with DJ Reed coming, Amik's played well, Rock's played well. When you get Tyrion back, you're going to have a lot of talent and depth at that cornerback position.
Absolutely.
Do you look forward to the challenge of maybe trying to create some packages for guys to play, or is it just the fact that you're just going to have good depth? You know that, and our guys are our guys, or how do you approach that when you've got a lot of worthy guys that can play at one position and you're kind of stockpiled at it?
I couldn't ask for anything more, because the number one thing it does is it provides competition within the football season. In a lot of buildings in the NFL, competition stops after you break training camp. And that's when you start to kind of see a level of complacency throughout, and guys just thinking they come to work every day, that's my spot. You know, and it's human nature to know, I mean, it's my spot. There's no challenge. There's no nothing that could get me off this spot. But then when you start to look over your shoulder and oh, wow, like that guy played like that, guy like Rock Ya-Sin, should we just pull him off the field? And that's something I asked the whole DB room. Y'all tell me, if you were doing what he's done, should we just snatch him off the field? So you started, Tyleek Williams, his rep count went down for 2-3 weeks. Then he go out and get a 35-play sample size, and I thought he played at a high level. So should I just snatch him off the field? And then once you start to breed that, it breeds natural competition. And the fact that the front office, Dan, has kind of pinpointed these type of guys who are selfless, it doesn't create any type of conflict. If anything, it generates competition. It creates urgency within our unit to know anybody could go make that play. So it doesn't have to be you. So you better make sure you're on your stuff day in and day out, because with the point we're at in this season, the urgency that we demand and we need right now, anybody could get pulled. And that's not a negative thing. It's just the guy that we're putting in, we're so confident in that we're not going to let anybody slip below the line of the standard that these guys have set.
With the Giants, they've made it sort of known if Jackson Dart plays, you know, they want him to run less, just, you know, given what happened with the concussion and whatnot. Do you have to adjust at all to him? I mean, is that a danger? If you
just watching as a natural football fan, I saw some of them at Ole Miss, and then I saw him in the league now with the sample size that I've gotten on him. And you could tell a player like that to run less, but within his competitive nature, if he's out there, he's going to run the football. So we're preparing for a healthy Jackson Dart if he's the guy. And if it's my man Jay Boogie, we're prepared to take him on. But they have a lot of depth in that quarterback room where they could go down to their third guy, and it's a Super Bowl champion. So there's not like anything's going to change as far as the plan. Obviously, the QB run game stuff, you have to be more prepared for it because we do believe it'll uptick in the illusion of the QB run, so to say, if Jackson plays. But we'll be ready for any guy that they put out there Sunday.
Yeah, back to Aleem real quick. When did you see in him the potential or ability to bounce outside and play out there?
Oh, I believed it his second year. We call him a dancing bear. He's light on his feet. He's explosive. His first steps just as fast as our defensive end room. And yeah, I said it, is just as fast. So when you see a player like that, again, not trying to force anybody on the field, but if there's a why and a legit reason behind it, we'll make it happen. The whole plan is to put your best 11 out there, and I'm afforded the opportunity to coach at an organization that believes in that as well. They don't care. Dan has never said one time, why is this guy, why didn't that guy play? He has full faith, trust, and belief that we're going to put these players in the best position possible.
On their lone touchdown drive last Sunday, when they moved the ball a bit on the ground, just how would you diagnose what went wrong for you guys on that drive?
The one drive that they did have, again, I look back at our touchdown drives throughout the course of the season. I don't know how much you guys track that, but if you really go look at them, it's come by way of explosive plays. All but 3, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And that's something that we know it has become a real emphasis because if guys don't get explosive plays, they can't score. If guys can't score, we'll win the football game. So, there's a lot of things that could have went better. I could have done a better job as a play caller, putting the guys, I believe it was a 2nd and 18, and they did a late substitution, bringing Tank in, and we knew when Tank Bigsby came in the game, it was a high run percentage, and I could have put our players in a better position on that 2nd and 18 to get that ball down. And then that one run alone kind of led and gave them life and momentum, and they end up scoring on that drive.
Dan says he has a lot of faith in the defense's ability to put out fires. Why do you think this group sort of rises to the occasion when put in those positions?
Because it started back in the offseason and it started at training camp. We went into this thing understanding that we wanted to play complementary football. We didn't want to just live on the backs of our offense. Now, we've been afforded a great opportunity. One of the best quarterbacks in the league, one of the best receivers, one of the best running backs, one of the best. And that narrative has been such in Detroit that we win games because of offense. And as a defensive player, as a defensive coach, that's a luxury, but at the same time, it makes you feel a certain type of way. We want this to be a complementary team and not, those guys are the superstars and they're winning because of them, or we're winning because we have the best punter in the league. No, we want to win because we win in all 3 phases of the game. And I think that's something this team is trending towards. And I just can't wait to see the game where we all go out in all 3 phases and able to put all our kind of A games together. Because you see it when the offense is on, when the defense is on, when the special teams is on, man, we have a chance to do something special this year.
Along those lines, a lot of discussion was going forward on 4th down. Do you think the defense has risen to the point where you guys can play a more traditional game strategy, field position and such? Where you don't need to maybe take those 4th down risks.
This may sound crazy, but I love it. I absolutely love it because that speaks volumes to me directly. That our head coach believes no matter where I put this defense, they're going to put the fire out. So I don't care if Dan goes for it every 4th down. It's our job as a defense to go out there and stand tall in that task. We're the firefighters on this team. What does that mean? If Jake Foss, which he rarely does, shank a punt, we're not complaining. Nobody's sucking their teeth. We're running on the field even faster to make sure we're able to go put that fire. That's the mentality you got to have as a defensive player. No pointing the fingers, no what if this, no what if that. Always take the field like this unit did for the most part of that Philadelphia game, understanding no matter the situation, we are able to go in and control the elements to our liking, down in and down out. So, yeah, the guys did a great job with that.
How we doing? Looking forward to this game. Giants, they're a good team. They've been in a lot of games, pretty close games, and looking forward to it. Shane Bowen does a really good job on defense. Got a really good front. Just like last week, these guys have the same type of front, and they get after it. With Burns, he's leading the league in sacks, so we got to be aware of him at all times, and they really do a good job schema-wise It's kind of like the old New England type of defense. You know, his background is with Vrabel and New England, all those guys. So there's a lot of similarities with the New England type of defense. So we're looking forward to it.
Seems like you can't put too much attention on Burns given what the other guys do.
Yeah.
Carter somehow only has a half sack. It doesn't marry with his film. Is it a case of like it's just only a matter of time before he starts getting home in this league?
Well, I hope not. No, but all those guys up front, man, they do a really good job in the scheme of things. I mean, Lawrence, I mean, he's a load in the middle. So, listen, I think it's a good matchup for us. You know, I like the matchup. You know, we got two really good tackles in the middle, and I feel really good about where we're going right now with the game plan. So, we got to make sure we take care of that front. That's the biggest thing.
With their edges, it seems like they do a lot of damage with stunting in the middle. You know, how important is it for the interior of your line to just kind of be on their P's and Q's with some of those switches?
No question. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of that all year. So, you know, we'll practice against that. The line will make the proper calls, the adjustments, and we'll be on point with that. We got a veteran, guys.
Without Sam, probably looking for somebody else to maybe step up. Just how important is that third receiver role with either Tesla or Raymond going to be kind of filling that void without Sam the next few years? And when you're speaking of Isaac in particular, how have you liked the way he's kind of developed? And is he a guy that you're starting to trust?
No, I'm starting to trust a lot of guys. I mean, all these guys are veteran guys now. So, you know, we'll have certain packages for whoever. Based on what they do. Not having Laporta, it's a tough deal. You know, I always smile when you bring up Laporta. I'm not smiling right now. No, but this gives everybody else some opportunities, and then we have to be creative, and that's the fun part. We love that part, game plan. I love this, trying to figure out things and trying to create mismatch here and there. So we'll have a bunch of different packages, and looking forward to it. We'll practice that today on third down. And even on first and second down, we're putting guys in different spots. You know, they got to learn. Someone's got to step up because that's a big loss not having Laporta. There's no doubt.
John, without Sam out there, where will you feel his absence the most?
All the time. I mean, he's a hell of an all-around blocker, receiver. He can do it all. But he was really reliable on third down in the red zone. That's the biggest thing. But his blocking on first and second down, I mean, the way he's improved with his blocking, it's just been awesome. So our other tight ends have got to step up.
I mentioned this to Jared. He had 5 passes batted down through 9 games.
Yeah.
And to have this game, maybe feels like an anomaly, but, they also say they see something on film. How do you decide the balance of reacting to a single game and really digging into it, or do you need to see a trend before you start working on adjustments?
You can't tell the quarterback, hey, it's not a problem, okay? Because you do that, then it gets in your head. Then you're going, oh, I got to throw it like this. I got this drop back. Hasn't been a problem. Okay, the line's going to be more aggressive. That's what we have to do. We got to make sure we're taking the proper drop, and you can't have that in his head. Just can't do that. So we really don't even talk about it because it ain't an issue.
What do you see as on third down? Talked about it a lot. Dan talked about it a little bit and just said it was a combination of a lot of different things. Couple bad throws, a couple bad play calls, some drops. Is that tough when it's not one thing you can focus on and look at and say, this is what we need to do?
It's nothing that they did. It's us. Okay, it's kind of been the theme this year. And we just got to make sure that we're all doing this collectively, and that's coaches. We're all doing it together because the only way we make this thing work is we do it together. But you got to win your one-on-one matchups. That's one of the biggest things I talk with the offense about, man. Just dial in, especially like third down. All right, let's dial in. Because sometimes when you put a game plan together, there's a little bit of different formation, to get guys open. There's a little bit of different. The same thing in the red zone. It happens. You might have the same concepts, but might have different formation, try to get guys open. So you got to really dial in, especially on third down. All right, this is my split. This is my technique. And really, we're just erring on technique, okay? But when we do it all together, okay, it's pretty good. You saw it against Washington. But again, I've said this before, it's that one breakdown where it's a technique error here and there, or we didn't make the throw. Yeah, you want certain calls back. But, man, we convert probably about 4 of those situations on third down was us. There was nothing that they did. There was probably about 3 or 4 where they got us. That's okay. It happens. But, man, we just got to put it all together. That's all we got to do, and that's what we're concentrating. That was one of the biggest things I talked with the offense about, man. Just dial in. Dial in your detail and your technique, okay? Every snap on third down especially, all right? Because even like what you see in the first quarter might not be what you see in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line. This guy might have a certain technique. He might do something different. He might have a different move. You got to know that and be ready for it. So the preparation is the key to our success. All right, so that was one of the biggest things. You got to dial in, man. Just dial in. Do more than what you have been doing. Like, our guys are great. We got smart guys, man. We can do a lot of stuff, and that helps. But we got to do it together. The bottom line, we just got to do this together.
John, it's so rare to see a game like that from Amon-Ra St. Brown. What did you see were some of the struggles with the connection between Goff and St. Brown?
We just missed some throws, that's all. Whether it was a technique on the route or I'm talking about the same thing again. That's what it's boiling down to. So just one of those things that happen, all right? So it won't happen again. We'll make sure.
Sorry. It seems like Jameer's receiving ability is taking off. I think we've kind of all expected that for a couple seasons here. How have you seen maybe his details in the pass game grow over the course of the season?
Well, we're giving him a lot. I mean, you got to look at who you have, all right? And it's just like I'm talking about having creative ways to find ways to get a guy the ball, especially when Laporte is down. So other guys, you got to step up. But listen, he's really smart. He's really detailed, man, when he gets the ball. Even if he screws up a little detail and he gets the ball in his hands, I mean, you saw it. So defenses are scared of something like that. And it helps. It helps, man. It's going to help out everybody. But, man, he's fun. He's fun to watch. He's fun to watch, man. Run, pass, everything. Pretty cool.
If you look at the splits between wins and losses, you're averaging almost 100 yards more in your wins, and I think over like 2 yards per carry more. How much does that highlight the importance of getting the run game going? And I guess what would you explain the chasm between your wins and losses when it comes to the run game?
Well, I mean, every game's different, right? So you're going to run plays based on the look, all right? And then you run those plays, and then you just keep dialing it up. And if it's a play for a specific front or a coverage or something like that, and we don't get that look, usually we try to run like all-purpose plays and runs, passes. That's really what we want to try to do. Now, sometimes it's tough. It's tough, and you got to throw it. Or if you can't throw it, you got to run it. And it's based on the look. You try to create the mismatches and different angles in the run game. Having certain guys in there. Demo's got certain type of runs, but he can still do all the runs. Gibby, he can do everything, But I think it's just that. Sometimes the game gets one-dimensional, and you just kind of go with that, and you just call plays accordingly. It's just the way it goes.
Hey, John, what have you seen from Isaac in practice that suggests he might be ready for a bigger role if that's one that comes?
Yeah, he's been playing more. It's just, the ball's not going his way because the quarterback, he has a certain progression a lot. This week, we'll see what happens. He'll have a little bit more. They do play a lot of man-to-man on third down especially, and zone. So it's just like I said with everybody. Everybody's going to have a certain role. It's our job to be creative, try to get these guys open, and put them in certain spots that he's really good at right now. And he's still learning. But listen, he's tough. He's physical. I love that part. He's a blocker. I mean, all our wideouts are, but he is, man. He's got it, and he's a lion for that because he blocks his butt off. So it's just only a matter of time for he's going to have a breakout game, and we'll see.